Welcome to Triple J Magnum builds. This isn't about trends. It's about preserving the Dodge Magnum, one resurrection at a time. If you're wondering who I am, I'm Jesus Bayonne Jr. Some of you might recognize me as Gonzo from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. But off screen, I've always been a builder, a restorer, and a preservationist at heart. That same mindset is what brought me to the Dodge Magnum, and this channel is where the story begins. This is the Dodge Magnum. When it arrived, it didn't fit any category people were comfortable with. Too aggressive to be a wagon, too practical to be a muscle car. But that's exactly what made it special. The Dodge Magnum was built for people who didn't need permission. The 2005 Dodge Magnum RT came standard with a 5.7-liter HEMI V8 with 340 horsepower and 390 feet-pounds of torque. It came in rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and it had a 5-speed automatic, reaching 6.1 seconds in the 0 to 60. That's really impressive for its weight. If you had the rear-wheel drive, it weighed 4,050 pounds, and it was all-wheel drive, 4,300 pounds. It wasn't your mama's grocery getter. It moved. The Magnum name didn't start in the 2000s, though. It goes back to the early 70s, when Dodge used it for only one thing: power. The original Dodge Magnum was built on a full-size platform, tipping the scales at over 4,000 pounds. The original 1970s Dodge Magnum, introduced for the 1978 model year, it came in the 318 cubic inch 5.2-liter V8, 140 horsepower standard, or the 360 cubic inch 5.9-liter V8 that ranged between 155 and 170 horsepower. Then you had the big boy, 400 cubic inch 6.6-liter V8 with, at the time, for that time, a whopping 190 horsepower. It wasn't light. It wasn't subtle. The Magnum earned its name. But that legacy, it didn't disappear. It just went quiet for a while. Before the modern Dodge Magnum ever touched the road, it existed as an idea. So real, it became a die-cast legend before it became a production car. This is the 2001 Dodge Super 8 HEMI Concept. Dodge didn't design this to follow trends. They designed it to challenge what a performance car was allowed to be. A four-door, a wagon silhouette, and a muscle car proportions that refused to apologize. This wasn't a throwback, it was a warning. Long hood, short overhangs, wide stance. Everything about it said power, even standing still. And then there was the interior. This is where Dodge made it clear they weren't playing it safe. Individual rear seats, sculpted surfaces, materials that felt more concept aircraft than family car. This wasn't built for passengers. It was built for drivers. Triple pod gauges, front and center. A digital Super 8 HEMI interface. The cockpit told you everything you needed to know. This car was about performance first. The 2001 Magnum Concept answered a question Dodge had been asking quietly for years. What if muscle didn't have to come in two doors? What if utility didn't mean compromise? 4 years later, Dodge answered that question for real, and the modern Magnum was born. When the Magnum finally arrived, it didn't whisper, it announced itself. It came in 3 trims: the SE 2.7-liter, the SXT 3.5-liter, and the RT 5.7-liter HEMI. Before I ever owned a Dodge Magnum, before Red Rum, my first Magnum came from a story. It came from my father. In 2010, he bought himself a 2005 Dodge Magnum RT. Inferno Red Pearl Flake, a real one. He talked about that car the way people talk about family legends. The way it moved, the way it handled. He said the seats didn't feel like a wagon, they felt like a cockpit. He'd talk about how it carved through curves, how planted it felt, how strong it was. To him, it wasn't just transportation. It was fast. It was tough. It was different. And no matter what we were talking about, that Magnum always found its way into the conversation. That was my introduction to the Dodge Magnum. Not from a commercial, not from a brochure, but from my dad. The way he remembered that car, unfortunately, that Magnum didn't last forever. My father was T-boned. He was in a bad accident. Don't worry, he's okay. But the car was totaled. It was unfixable. And just like that, his Magnum went to the junkyard in the sky. But that story never left. And years later, that story would come back around. And sure enough, years later, that story came back to me. Not as a legend this time, but as a responsibility. Using money I earned giving a lecture about Bigfoot in Yakima, Washington. That's a whole nother story. I bought a Dodge Magnum of my own, finally. A 2005 Dodge Magnum SE with a V6 2.7 liter engine. Not an RT, not perfect, but real. For $2,000. I called her Red Rum. She was hurt, neglected, written off. But I didn't buy her to drive her. I bought her to save her. This wasn't just a project. This was a promise. A promise to bring a Magnum back from the edge. And when she's finished, when she's resurrected, she won't be mine. She'll be a Christmas gift for my wife. Because some cars aren't just built, they're brought back from the grave. And this will be the story of Red Rum in the very next episode. See you guys there, everybody. Welcome to Triple J Magnum Builds.
4, 3, 2, 1.